Hello, everyone. Kathy Bacon here with What's Your Story Radio. And I am back. I have been off for a while. I have taken some time off. I have moved into Seattle in a great area called Queen Anne. You have followed my journey, and I appreciate that. I appreciate you asking me when I'm coming back. And I want you to know that I decided that when January came, just delve right in and get right in with those interviews, and that didn't quite happen. What happened instead is I took the time to take care of myself. And I got to tell you, that's kind of a new thing. I, I really made it a point happening. There was so many things going on in my life that I just felt tired. Like I was tired and I needed some time to just relax, take it all in, and just find out how this year would be fitting into my life instead of me fitting into the year. So for all of your support, I appreciate it. I'm very, very grateful. And so every month, at the last Wednesday of every month, I am going to do a special broadcast. It will be a 1 hour broadcast, and it will be called Elevation of Inspiration. Talk about their specialties. We will have a topic. Today, the topic is mind, body, and spirit. All three of my guests have had so much time spent with these three, as we all have, and just have some ideas of how to bring them all together so that we can live a very happy, loving, fulfilling life with ourselves first, so that we can portray that out to the world. So my guests today are Kerri-Ann Appleton, who I've had before, Adam Baca, who I've had on before. And by the way, I have to tell you this. When you call his number, he says, tell me something that you're grateful for today. And it has stuck with me since I've heard it, and I just wanted to mention it. I also have a new guest. Her name is Helene-Fortin, and she is joining us from Canada. So I'm very excited about these three lovely guests coming on, and I'm going to let them tell you about themselves rather than me, because they will have a lot to say about who they are and, possibly how they can perhaps help you. So, hi, everybody.
Hi.
Hello.
Yeah. Yay. There was a little bit of a delay, I think, but I'm so happy that you all, at first I'm thinking, do they hear me or do they not hear me? But I think there's a little bit of a delay, just because we're all coming from different parts of the world, and Kerri-Ann is coming from Brazil, so we're all over the place here. And I just appreciate you all joining me, being here and sharing your expertise with all of us. I am going to call you experts. And I think that's okay. So please tell a bit of yourself. We'll start with Kerri-Ann Appleton.
Well, thank you, Kathy, for having me here. I actually want to start with just my first minute of this is just taking us into our heart space. Can we do that? Because that's a little bit about
Yes,
me
please.
and what I do. So if everyone that's participating in this call, Maria-Helene, Adam, and Kathy, as well as everyone watching, if you can just close your eyes for a minute and just start to breathe into your body. And as you breathe into your body, start to connect with your body. So start to connect with the breath. Recognize how the air feels as it enters your body and as it exits your body. How your lungs feel as they expand and contract. Just begin to recognize how you feel in your body in this moment as you begin to relax. Now I want you to focus your breath and your attention on your heart space. We're going to use Adam's question on his voicemail and really bring in, what are you grateful for in this moment? Really begin to feel that magnificent energy of your gratitude, of your appreciation, and feel it expand throughout your body. So out to your shoulders, down your solar plex, into your hips, up your neck, into your head, down your legs, to the bottom of your feet, and all the way down your arms to your fingertips. And so you're embodying this full energy of your gratitude in this moment. Just really feel that presence that you have, that glow. And now come back to the space that you're in. Feel the seat under you. Feel your toes and the tip of your nose. And take a deep inhale in. And as you exhale out, open your eyes and come back into the space that you're in. So I just kind of wanted to start that just with utilizing, Adam's question and how Kathy referenced it into gratitude and really bringing it into the body, since this is about the mind-body kind of spirit connection. And so, as Kathy said, I'm in Brazil. My name is Kerri-Ann Appleton, and I'm a coach and a writer and a facilitator, but I haven't always been that, and it's an ongoing journey. I'm a Reiki master now, a yoga teacher. I do meditations like this, which I love because it takes people into their body. And not just into their body, but it connects them with their body and starts to connect them with their spirit of who they are. And it creates a space and a container for them to start exploring and connecting more with their true essence. My journey has been kind of crazy. I started out in my career-wise working with nonprofits because I've always had a sense of giving. And supporting other people in their growth. And as I've evolved, the work I'm doing now is really creating a space for people to transform within. So it's like the cocoon from going from a caterpillar to a butterfly. And actually more recently, and I don't think Kathy knows this, I know Maria-Helene knows this because we talk often, but recently I've really kind of honed that into, I want to work with specifically women over 30 who want to use their gifts, kind of their calling, in the form of being an entrepreneur. So helping them go from that caterpillar through the cocoon into this beautiful butterfly. And so that's kind of unfolding just magically in my life and my own journey, especially over the last 4 years. What has specifically brought me to Brazil, I'm originally from Denver, Colorado. Actually, going further back, I'm originally from New Hampshire. I can't forget my New England peeps. But there's something about Brazil. It seems as many of my friends thought I was crazy, and yet they knew that I was also sane for doing this. Brazil has such a force of love here that for me personally, I've never felt anywhere on the planet or in my life. And I needed to come here, and I need to still be here as part of my own transition and trying to be a force of love in the world. It has taught me so many incredible things around patience, around trusting, around being open, because it is an ever-flowing culture here. Something interesting about Brazil is that I really feel like they live from their heart down, and we in North America live from our heart up. So even when they walk here, the way they softly move, from their bottom down, it's unbelievable. So that's why I'm in Brazil and still developing my own skills. Not even developing. There was a word that Maria-Helene and I used the other day. It's like, she used recalling. It's almost reclaiming. Like something within me that I didn't know that was there, but has always been a part of me in there. And it's the gift that I have. for the world. So I think I might have taken more than my 5 minutes, Kathy, but that's me in a nutshell.
I think it's okay. And I feel that it was totally fine because this is how it's going to go. We have one
Okay, good.
hour, and this is really about the three of you and what you do and how you move around and use your gifts in the world. Because I want people to know you. I'm lucky to know you. So I want other people to know you too and utilize those gifts. So anything you say and the time you take is how it's going to go. And that's how I feel about it. So thanks, Kerri-Ann, so much. And it's refreshing to know that you're working with women over 30. Excuse me. So, Adam, what about you? Tell us some interesting information about yourself because you are an interesting person as well.
Well, thank you. So I've been on your show before, so I appreciate you having me again. And Kerri-Ann, that was beautiful. So thank you for that. So for the past 10 years, I have been in the space of transformation and performance and relationship. And so basically right now what I do is I'm a coach, which I help people with their health, with their mindset, right? And understanding, helping people get back to a state of fitness and a state of health. So I'm a personal trainer, I'm a nutritionist, I'm a life coach. And so I tie all three of those together with my coaching programs. And again, I really try and focus on getting people back to a state of health, a state of well-being, and create better relationships they have with themselves, the relationships we have with their environment, with the earth, with our food, because we've been disconnected for so long. I think we've been getting so pulled into technology, which technology is a tool, but again, it's like if we abuse that relationship, we can get away from other ones. And I think we've gotten too far away from, from our bodies, and we've gotten too stuck into our minds. And so we don't feel, I don't think, as much as we're supposed to, or we're overanalyzing everything. So again, I try and help people kind of come back to a state of health and understand what is health. And so I have coaching programs that I teach people all over the world. And it might be a CEO, it might be a house mom or a housewife, it might be a teacher, but giving them the tools to do it themselves and guiding them along the way. Now, before I was actually a health coach and, became obsessed with that. I was on your show previously, what was that, 2 years ago or so? Talking about the nonprofit that I run, Day Without Hate. And so I've been working with my organization, which is international now. We're in about 5 countries in about 30 states. And we have some really, really great partnerships with some other nonprofits. And so we're helping spread right now, basically positive environments for students to go ahead and thrive in, to create better relationships, better connections. And I have a book right now on my desk that's this tripod is sitting on, and it's called Connected. And I'm diving into this because it's about the relationship that we have to people immediately, right in front of us in our space and how we affect them. And then also too, just people that are on the other side of the world like we are right now. We're connected. And that's what I'm trying to understand is what is the relationship that we as human beings have and how do we thrive, with our health, our fitness, and our mindset. So.
Wow. And you do it, Adam. I got to tell you. And I'm not going to go on about the message in the telephone, but I have told so many people about it because just that alone can change someone's mindset for the day. Just hearing that on your phone when they call. I don't know if I want to work with Adam, but he asked me a question. What am I grateful for today?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think I want to work with Adam. You know what I mean? Seriously. I mean, it's just such a great thing to say on your phone. And I'm not going to talk about it anymore. I've gone on enough about it, but I really love that. And I believe and think think about what they're grateful for, because we're so busy, right? And we don't take the time lots of times to think about that. So
Right.
thank you so much for telling us about yourself and what you do.
Thank you.
And now, last but not least, we have Marie Helene, and please tell us what you do in the world with your gifts.
Sure. Bonjour, everyone. So, yes, my name is Marie-Hélène. I am originally from Quebec City in Canada, and moved to actually a little further west, but still in Quebec. And what I don't never know how to start with this kind of question. It's like so many branches, right? Okay, so I am an energy healer. I am also an intuitive reader. And I am also, I connect very strongly with the animals and the earth. I am an animal healer and communicator as well, which they have much to teach us. With the energy healing, I work, it's always something that keeps evolving, right? It starts, and that goes for everyone. You start on one path and then it starts to evolve. But what I've been guided to do is to work with the clients that come to me are usually clients that are ready, consciously or not, to embark on their next big phase of their life, and usually to realign them with their life purpose. So what they are meant to do here on Earth, what their abilities and gifts are, and to be able to bring that forward so they can offer that to the world. I also help in the department of pain relief and pain management with energy healing. I work a lot also with teenagers. I really love teenagers. Most of the teenagers that come to me are usually a healer already, empath, very sensitive, often are being diagnosed with anxiety, OCD, ADHD, and often is because they are so sensitive. So often they actually have, I'm not dismissing the medical part of the diagnosis, I never diagnosed, but the link that I find with all of them is that they are gifted, and they just don't know what to do with the energy of the world, because the world is feeling so much, and even a person who is not as sensitive also feels it, right? So I work with them. I teach them how to take care of their energy, how to be responsible for it, and how to protect themselves, and therefore they can go in the world without feeling so much, and then they can help others. And with animals, my heart just opens up every time I talk about animals and nature. I work with with horses, dogs, birds, wild animals as well. And what they are teaching me and what I have been connecting with is that we are going into a world where we are going to communicate much more with energy than with words. More and more, and they are just fabulous at that. So that's what I do. I'm also a writer and a mentor. So for those who want to also learn and continue to learn on their spiritual journey, I assist them and I facilitate. So yeah, what else was I going to tell you? When I say I'm an intuitive reader, I connect with, so my senses are developed in a way where I work with clairvoyance, which is meant that I can see through my mind's eye, my third eye. So I get images and I get like movies, films, and words. I also work with my body. So when I work with my clients, I can feel what they're feeling. So I can ask them, do you have a headache right now? And usually they will say yes. or are you feeling your left leg hurting? So then I know it's information for me that I can use to help them and to know where to focus our energy. And also am clairaudient, so I can hear also from what I call spirit. I connect really well with the angelic realm. Yeah, so even going into this, I was definitely nervous. I'm always a little nervous with, talking pieces and things like that. But I know they always have my back, so I always tap with them. And so what I get is a little bit
Conditions.
from them as well. Yeah, yeah. So that's who I am.
I hope everyone else got this, because on my screen it says that I'm having neck conditions. Now, I don't know what that means. So I hope I didn't make any fun.
Did you guys hear me? Adam
We're just going to keep
Kerri-Ann?
going.
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
Did you hear? Okay, perfect. Because on Facebook, it's showing up perfectly fine. So it may be just me. So I think we're just going to keep going and just keep talking, and we will keep need something. And I'd like your opinion on it. The mind. The mind is inwardly aware. It understands and catalogs experiences and input from the body. It then responds by directing the motions and movements. If the mind is out of balance, then the body shows stress. Adam, what do you think?
What do I think about that? About the quote or about the mind?
What do you think? If your mind is out of balance,
Mm-hmm.
then the body shows stress.
Yeah, I mean, I think that makes perfect sense. I believe that basically the body is definitely tied into the subconscious mind, as well as the conscious mind. Because we hear about the two minds, right? The conscious and the subconscious. And I definitely believe that the body itself is a representation of the mind, of the subconscious mind, the habits, the values, the behaviors, and ultimately the environment of what the body is in, and what the mind is believing. So yeah, when I work with clients, I mean, we talk about, the subconscious mind, the conscious mind, because we know that it affects the body. But also too, we also know that it goes both ways, that when you affect the body, you affect the mind. So, there's kind of a newer research right now of looking at fascia, and basically the fascia is kind of what holds the muscle into place. So if you look at like a chicken breast, that filmy like outer cover, on it, that's the fascia,
Yes.
right? That's what keeps the muscle kind of intact, keeps its shape. Well, that's tied into the nervous system. And what they're finding now too is that basically you can go ahead and when you disrupt it, or you get massages, or you touch that fascia, you actually can tap into, into old memories. So now they're like, well, is this actually tied into the neural network of our bodies, right? Is it actually tied into old memories of what we have? Is that actually stored in our body, right, instead of the brain, or is it both? So I think there's a lot to it, of course. Who really knows what it is, because it's, science is theory, but I believe for sure right now what we know is that the mind and the body are one and the same. So.
Very interesting, really. It's very interesting that research is coming out all the time about the mind and the body and the spirit connecting and being one. And for so long, I don't know, way back when I was younger, you didn't hear a lot about that. It was really, it was kind of like they operated separately. What do you think about that, Kerri-Ann? How do you feel about the mind, the body, and the spirit connecting and making it all one perfect little package?
Yeah, so what I think about is the body is telling us what the mind is saying. The body does what the mind says in some ways. So, for instance, you could be sleeping and have a nightmare and your body reacts. So you could be having a nightmare that a bear is coming at you in this dream, and your body is physically reacting. The stress hormones are kicked in, your adrenaline's a lot higher, and you wake up and there's not a bear coming at you. So it's all in the mind, basically, creating the story, and your body's just reacting to what it's creating. And so when we start to connect with our body, we start to realize, because as Adam talked about, conscious and subconscious, and even what we are aware of and what we're not aware of, we start to become aware, and sometimes we have to look at what's happening in our body just to realize what's happening in our mind, what thoughts, feelings, and beliefs that we have, or what patterns we live by. And when we look at it sometimes that way, and sometimes we have to look at it, so some people get disease because they're constantly running in a state of stress. They get injured. There's different ailments. It's looking at, okay, how am I creating this in my mind? What can I change within me to create a different result? In some way, sometimes we also store things. So I think since we're all kind of Westerners, most of us grew up in a culture where emotions were taught not to really be expressed. So when you were a crying baby, your mom, oh, please be quiet, be quiet, be quiet, be quiet, be quiet. When you were the screaming kid at the grocery store, please stop screaming. Why are you angry? We were taught to stuff those emotions and not feel them, and eventually that's just energy stuck in the body. And our body eventually is like, hello, I want out. I want this removed so I can better serve you. And so we start to become mindful and really connect with our bodies in a deeper way. We'll understand what's happening in the mind. And sometimes people can kind of become aware of what's happening in the mind first, the thoughts, the beliefs, and then see the connection with the body. And that's kind of how I'm always viewing things. I always look at basically what's happening in my outer world is a reflection of my inner world. Oh, go ahead, Kathy.
I'm sorry. I heard you stop talking, but I think I'm having a little bit of a problem with my internet. I hear you guys fine, but then you kind of come in and out, and it's so discouraging for me on my end.
Same over here.
I hope you can hear each other because I may have to walk downstairs to the internet box or something. So anyway, what I wanted to say is when I was young, before now, which I'm going to be 60 in a couple of months. And I know it's just a number. I know it's just a number. Yes, I know it's just a number. But I can tell you that over the years, so many things have changed and so many things have been discovered that weren't when I was younger. Like, my mother, just get on with it. But hey, maybe my mind was not operating because my body didn't feel good, or maybe inside my spirit was lacking. But none of those things came together during that time. I don't remember hearing about that as a young person, even in high school. Became more prevalent that those things were something that that all worked together. And if they weren't all operating on some kind of vibrational frequency, then something was going to be off. And that explained to me a lot of issues that I had, if you want to know the truth. So I want to say something about the spirit now, Marie-Helene. Mm-hmm. And this again is an observation that was printed, and I copied it. This is what it says about the spirit is both inwardly aware and outwardly focused. It is the part of the human being that can look beyond the obvious needs of survival and seek to fulfill self-actualization and search for happiness. What is your thought about that? It's very thought-provoking, isn't it?
It is very. I'm like, I'm trying to like get into it. Um, it is. So that's always right, my point of view, and everybody. So every time I'm working with clients, I always say to them, what I'm going to give you as far as information from your own team is also always to see if it resonates with you, right? So this is what resonates with me about this is, somewhere in there, I do believe that the spirit is what brings together the body and the mind. Somewhere in there, I see it as being the a little bit of the envelope of it. If the envelope wasn't there, then one part will be left on its own, so they wouldn't be connecting. So the mind and the body wouldn't as well. But with the spirit, it just brings that. It brings us just closer, and it makes you indeed go and because we are. So from what my beliefs are is that we do have more than one life, and we come here on earth every single time choosing lessons that we are wanting to learn and expand from. That's one of our main goal here on earth. So earth is this beautiful, it's school. Earth is this beautiful place, to teach us. And a part of us is not always wanting to stay in school, right? Is wanted to go and go back to what I say, go back home a little bit. But it is necessary to be here. So that's where when you talk about the inward and external, right? That's my connection with that. So we do feel sometimes like, especially sensitive beings, it's kind of like, I feel like I don't belong here, right? Why do we have to stay here? Why is it so heavy here? So I do, that's what, in a nutshell, I see the spirit being the envelope that keeps it all together. But without the body and without the mind, the spirit also wouldn't be there, right? It's interesting when we talk about the mind because I suffered from OCD, PTSD, and severe anxiety.
Wow.
And that is also what, so OCD, if we tap into that area, mine was thoughts. So it was what we call intrusive thoughts. And it absolutely totally robbed me of my entire life. So I was not able to, I could not go anywhere. I was a fitness instructor as well. So I was always in the movement area, always dancer, coach, fitness instructor. And I was not able to focus. I lost everything. I lost absolutely everything. And most importantly, I lost myself at that point. But spin that 180, I was just, it broke down in chaos. I was going to be able to go and pick up the pieces that I wanted and then, find myself again. But the thoughts, how it affected my body was incredible. I mean, I'm a fitness instructor. I loved moving. I was to the point I was losing weight so fast, and that was the stress. So the stress level, I had stopped, because my stress level was so high, I had stopped being able to sleep for about a month and a half. I had zero sleep. So that affected my mind even more. And then it affected my adrenal glands and my hormones. So all of that, right? And so physically, it had a huge impact. And that was my mind. That was my mind doing all of that. And also what I mean by I lost myself, I had no clue anymore who I was as far as spirit, what the concept. It's really hard to explain unless you really lived this. But the mind is quite a tool. When I work with my clients, and what I've learned through my recovery was to learn how to put my mind, not to get rid of it. I'd like to stay sane and have my mind. I still have to go do, things. And
I
so
lost
put
my mind.
I lost my mind. So we put it in the back seat a little bit more because our society has been driven with our mind. And now we're being asked, we're shifting a lot, and people know that. Everybody's going through it. And what I'm asking my clients is to put the mind in the back seat and to lead things now from their heart. When you tap in your heart, then you tap into your body as well. And something really important, I'll stop there, that I learned is that the intellect has the ability to lie, but the body cannot. So, yep.
It's a very interesting what our mind, body, spirit all does together. It has this big orchestra kind of thing going on. And I think is really, really important. Kilter a little bit. I mean, I have felt that way in the past where I felt off kilter. This is what's going to happen right now because I am having a hard time with my internet. I'm going to ask a question, and Kerri-Ann, I want you to start answering it as close to the. So the question is this, and if we can solve this, Kerri-Ann, we can take over the world. How about that?
Mm-hmm.
So
let's see.
No pressure.
It's just like no pressure at all.
A new year. Love, happiness, and unlimited abundance. Okay, I'm going to turn my.
Wait, I need you to repeat the question because I don't think I got all of it.
Me neither.
Okay. Cutting in and out. Yeah.
Okay.
Something about a new year,
see.
love, and abundance.
This is what we're doing right now. You're going to walk with me. And because I am having a hard time hearing everyone. So here we go.
It's a lot better right now.
Oh, wow. Maybe I should stand in the hallway. Okay, all go downstairs. I think we'll be able to hear each other so much better. All right, here we go.
Did you bring your cat?
No, she's sleeping now, so that's a very good Zen thing, right? Oh, okay.
Could have had a discussion with her.
Here we go. All right, here we go. Now, door. There we go. All right. Here we are. Now you'll get to sit. You will get to sit in my.
Oh. Have trouble again?
Yeah.
Should we sing a song?
Sing a song.
Yeah.
Oh, I so appreciate all of you being. I mean, your guys.
Oops, did it again.
Yeah.
Great.
Maybe
Can
that's
you
the
hear me
song.
okay?
It's off and on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Try to ask the question.
I'm going to try
again.
one more thing.
I'm going to call in the big guns. Archangel Michael is good with communication, so we're going to ask him to, yeah. He looks like Thor, by the way. He's really hot.
I love it, but I love it.
Don't tell my husband.
We're here! Yay! Okay.
Awesome.
So I think everyone sounds better. I hear better. I don't know about you guys, but I think I hear better. So I guess from now on, this is where I need to have the show, and I'll have to decorate it a little bit back here. All right.
We are the world, so.
We are the world, and here it is. We
Looks
are
good.
the world.
Nice.
All right. So, and we might have to go a little bit over an hour, but That'll be okay. So Kerri-Ann, here's the question.
Okay.
How do we create a new year filled with love, happiness, perfect health, and unlimited abundance?
I think for me, when I look at that, is it comes down to loving yourself, having compassion and love, and realizing you're limitless. I mean, just thinking about it, I actually did this activity recently with a client, and I've kind of been using it a little bit more. But if you just look out your window or look at any space, it's limitless. Like you can find so much in 5 minutes, even at a blank white wall, because there's so much detail in the white wall. You know, it's not just this plain thing. And I think all of us are that. And so thinking about how do I love myself more? And what does that mean to really love yourself and accept yourself? It doesn't mean you have to be something that society wants you to be, or your family wants you to be, or your boyfriend wants you to be, or your significant other, or whatever, or even your children want you to be. Just be you and accept the uniqueness that you are. There's nothing wrong with you. Like, for instance, I'm dyslexic. So I look at letters and words differently. That doesn't mean there's something wrong with me. I'm just different. And we're all made of the same material. Every snowflake is made of the same material, but each snowflake is uniquely different. But it's a part of the whole too. So can you embrace all of who you are and accept and really love you? And I think that when you start to really love yourself, and this has been a project of mine now for a year, I do the Louise Hay's mirror work. I sit in front of the mirror every single day and I talk to myself. And I have such a relationship with myself that I find I feed myself better. I listen to myself and say, wow, this is what I really want to eat. And this is what's good for me. And I accept that. So Marilyn and I were talking about this the other day. I tried to add more fruit into my diet because that sounded exciting. And I live in a very tropical place and I love it. And it actually made me upset. I tried it for a couple of days and within 20 or 30 minutes, I didn't feel good. My body likes hearty foods. And so I need to listen to that and love myself enough that way. I don't need to love myself like other people that need those fruits. I still eat fruits, by the way. The mangoes are delicious in Brazil. Can't get enough. So it's like I feed myself better. When I love myself enough, I get up every morning and I do my exercises, my yoga, and my meditation. I do myself Reiki treatment every single day. And also, as I start to love myself more, I can and accept myself as who I am. I accept others for exactly who they are, and they're perfect in that moment and in that time. There's nothing wrong with them. They're just different from me. They grew up differently. They see the world differently. And I start to try to look through their lens just to see the beauty that they see that I don't see.
Right.
And so for me, I think if you want to kind of set yourself up for kind of a new year, new you, start with yourself and just start loving yourself fully and accepting who you are.
Mm-hmm. What do you think, Adam, about that?
So the health, wealth, love, and happiness, right? There's a guy, Ty Lopez. That's what his whole spiel is, his whole shtick is about. I watch him a lot. But what I do with my clients is I always ask them, how do you define those things? So when we go through the work, it's not only, what are you eating, how are you moving, but it's like, how are you relating to, what is success, or what is health for you? So they have to define that. Because, again, it's like we can throw out health, wealth, love, and happiness, and we all have experience around that. We all have some kind of context behind it, but we all have our own definitions. So I think if we're personally going to go ahead and kind of transform the area, we have to find out, what do we think about it? How do we feel about it? And so defining that, I think, is really, really important, is what is health for you? Because health for you, Kathy, might be different from me, right?
Right.
And that's fine. But it's, what is it for you? Where are you at now? And then how do we close that gap? Because if you're going to get from point A to point B, you got to look at where are you at currently? Where do you want to go? And then we can create that map and the fastest way to get there. But again, it's like, where are you trying to get to? And a lot of people I work with, they have no idea what they want. Because, school doesn't teach us that. Relationships, we don't really get into that level, unless we're really good friends with people. We don't dive into those deep questions of like, what do you want from life? And talking about that. I think we always have that constant conversation in our head of like, thinking about and obsessing about those four things because they are important, but sitting down and really defining it of what does that mean and why do I want it too? You know, that's the fuel behind it. It's like, why do I want to get to point B? Why do I want to get to health? What is that going to change in my life? You know, and if you don't have those reasons why, you're not going to go anywhere, you know? So, you know, with, again, working with people, it's like, I can understand, like, when you jump into, you know, a transformation or you try to change anything, it's hard. You know, it's hard. It's like a rocket taking off. It's like it burns most of the fuel just taking off. And then once it gets that momentum, it's fine. But you need those reasons why to take off. And sitting down and really, really thinking and feeling and connecting those two, that's where it comes from. And then you can do it. But define it and have those reasons why.
And, you know, on Facebook, thank you, Shirley Sista Love Alton says, great conversations here today. Enjoying it so much. So even with our little glitches, it's so great just to have everyone on and discussing because, you know, we all have our opinions of how this goes with mind, body, spirit, and we all have our own personal journeys and our own things about us that make us feel or think or be a certain way. So it's really just so nice to have you all on and talking about mind, body, and spirit. Before I leave you, Adam, I have to say that everybody at the beginning of the year says, oh, I got to go to the gym. I got to go to the gym. I got to get healthy. I got to go to the gym. That must be the hardest group of people to deal with. I mean, no offense, but we all have these resolutions and we think that we're going to stick to them. Do you find that really happens, or are you constantly delving in with these people and trying to get to the bottom of it, like you said, what they really do want, and if they really are going to pursue it? I mean, how many drop off?
Yeah, well, I just actually posted a video yesterday about that last night, just talking about how we make things so complex when we want to change.
Right.
You know, we jump on the newest diet, or we read the newest book. We're like, oh, well, this is what I got to do. But yeah, it's like 95%, I think, is a stat of 95% of people that's resolve or make a resolution, they fall off around Valentine's Day, right? About 6 weeks in,
Okay.
you're not committed to that. You're not doing it anymore. And I think a really, really big reason is because we make it way too complex. We don't define what we actually want, and we don't understand why we want it. So again, if you don't have anything pulling you towards like the end result of like, this is why I want it, and I have to get it, if you just want it, you're not going to get it. Want is not a strong enough emotion to pull. You know, you're always going to have to push, and, you know, pushing, you're going to get tired and you're going to wear out. So setting up, I think, the framework and the structure to begin with of what is the focus, and then building that structure around that, it helps so much. So it's a little frustrating, yeah. But I love it too at the same time, because people are willing to change in that you know, that first week. And that's where you need to start. You have to be willing to change. But then again, it's if you don't have the proper structure, you're going to run out of gas 6 weeks in. So.
Yeah, that's very interesting. I know I've said it before. I'm going to join a gym. I'm going to do it. And this year I didn't say it, and I've been working out. So, you know, isn't it funny though, how we put so much pressure on ourselves to do something, and then we don't follow through sometimes because we're our own worst critic at times.
Yeah.
So, Marie.
Present.
What do you believe is our optimum health for our spirit? What is the optimum health for our spirit, do you believe?
Okay. It's interesting because I was listening to Adam, and lots of what he was talking about, how he works with his clients. It's actually similar to how I work with my clients on the spirit side. And the word why, like Adam used that word quite a lot. And so I'm going to pull that word and I'm going to use that, finding your why. But not just finding your why. I pull also what Karen was saying, finding yourself, you know, your true essence of who you are, which would be full of love, right? And from there, it would be for people to find what their life purpose is. You know, I believe that all four of us have found what our life purpose is. There's a difference between a career and a life purpose. And, you know, a life purpose is what you're meant to do here on earth and to tap into your gifts. Now, it takes work. So all of those areas is self-love, the area with, you know, the physical part, and also finding your it takes work. And that is where, you know, that's the key. It's not the kind of work that we're used to do. It's a different kind of work, and it's work that brings us very close with our own relationship, and not everyone is comfortable with that, right? And that's why a lot of people just move away from it. So finding your why, what you're meant to do, and well, people will say, well, I don't know, right? And exactly what like Adam was saying, it's defining that. Like, I don't know, I have no clue, because for so long, a lot of my clients have been going, you know, doing the same job, you know, for years and years, and then there's the benefits, and then there's the pension. It's like, no, I don't want to give that up. But here they are, not happy, not healthy,
Right.
you know, not feeling abundant either. So where I go with them at that point is that I make them do a few lists. So this is not something I'm going to be able to tell them. I can definitely get input from their team, definitely. And what we get from them is more tapping into what their natural abilities are. So I always ask my clients to do a list first of what did they used to do when they were kids? Just what did they used to do when they were kids? Like, right. and try not to go in your mind too much about that. Just what did you spend your time doing? With who? Were you alone? All that. For example, for me, I was always with animals. I remember watching, you know, documentaries, like so I live in Canada, right? Like, summer is very short. Yeah. And in the middle of summer, documentaries, I would watch them all about animals. I was so fascinated. All my books were about animals. And I had forgotten about that. And then I'm like, oh my God, that was such a big piece of my life, but I hadn't connected with it for such a long time. And then I remember that I loved digging. I thought I was going to be an archaeologist. So I love digging, and I'm like, here I am now, totally understanding that I am an archaeologist of spirit and life, right? So it's to go and do that first list. So if I want to break it down, do a list of what you used to love when you were kids. And the second list, I bring them to what are their natural abilities? And it could be, yes, it can be a physical ability, but it can also be, I'm able to hold loving space for people. I'm able to be quiet when people are talking. Anything that is natural, you know? And then I ask them if there was no limitation whatsoever, you know, money, anything. What would you like? What would you see your life look like? And then I make them thread off through all of those three lists. And that is a beginning on how you start to find what you're meant to do. And you don't have, when you finally find it, you're like, oh my God, I was that all along, right?
Yeah, right.
Right. So to me, it's finding your life purpose. That is, because once you have that, that means you're in true alignment with yourself. And then that attracts abundance and health and wealth. That attracts relationships. That attracts all the other thing. It pulls it all in together. So you don't have to work actually as hard to try to work on all those things. You work on aligning yourself, and then those things come in.
It's a very interesting concept. I believe that wholeheartedly. And if I'm tuning in right now, I'm thinking, wow, these people really have it all together. How did they get like this? What the heck? Oh my gosh. So this is why this question is next. So, Kerri-Ann,
Oh boy.
what is the most challenging part of your own personal journey? And this is where everyone needs to know how real you all are.
Hmm. I think the most challenging thing is getting out of your own way. Like we started this conversation with really talking about the mind, and just all the thoughts and beliefs that we have, and we get so much in our own way. Kathy, you even talked about we're our own worst critic, and we block ourselves, and we don't realize it. We from a very young age, especially in those first 6 to 7 years, we're in a theta brainwave pattern state, and so we're just absorbing and downloading and creating perception and meaning to everything that's happening in our lives. And that becomes our operating system. It's like a computer. That's what we operate on. And we're not taught to be aware and to be mindful. That's changing. We know this. It's definitely changing. And we just become robots. And then when we start to feel something within us, like something's transforming, something's changing, I'm not supposed to be this, or I'm supposed to be this other thing, or that feels good, we get in our own way and we block ourselves from it. And so we start to have to go on the hero's journey. We're hearing the call, and sometimes we refuse the call, sometimes we don't. Then we decide to go on, Joseph Campbell's description of the hero's journey. We will realize how many times on that journey that we continue to see another block that we created, and so of fear, not being good enough, not being loved and accepted. So I think in terms of my own experience, I have to take responsibility, now that I have the tools for it, and I've been really blessed with amazing guides, both here in the physical realm and the spiritual realm, amazing guides that have helped me to see you have a block, and to help me and guide me through it. It's kind of like, I use the analogy of when I train for half marathons and I have friends or coaches with me. I mean, they sit there and they cheer me along, and they tell me that I can do it, and they point out, because sometimes I've got the blinders on and I can't even see what's in front of me. I cannot see that log on the trail. I'm like, what are you talking about? There's a log on the trail? Where? But why can't we move forward? Why? And they're like, hello, log on the trail, log on the trail. And so they, it's like helpful to sometimes have those guides with me to see where I'm blocking myself and where I've created it at some point, usually in my childhood. And now epigenetics talks about it can be within the womb, it can be even before, because your mom is carrying the eggs and da da da. There's a lot of science around that. And then you start to unpeel all those layers. And you just see, like we talked about, you're limitless, you're abundant. And when you step into your truth, it's like, it's amazing. You feel so much freedom. And I mean, even I'm still going through this journey. I'll always be going through this journey. It doesn't stop. That I have things that come up, little things that come up and block me. But now I just feel like I have the tools and I have the support, and I know how to ask for the support. Even if I don't have a physical form here, connecting with spirit and saying, just guide me. What am I seeing that I'm not seeing? How do I move through this? And how do I get myself unstuck? So that's been kind of my process in my own transformation.
And it's brought you to this really, really lovely, beautiful place. And like you
thank
said,
you.
which is really, really true, is that we never stop. We just keep learning, and we keep growing, and we keep being our true, authentic selves as times go on, I mean, and it's, for me, when I look at you, I feel like it's okay to embrace that, it's okay to embrace that. Maybe I haven't always embraced that, but when I look at you, Kerri-Ann, I think it's okay to embrace it. So thank you for that.
I think so too.
Yeah. What about you, Adam? I mean, what were your most challenging parts of your journey?
Man, I mean, there's been a lot, obviously. No one's ever had a perfect life, but I think that's obviously part of it. That's that's where the growth comes from, is the problems. But it's always been emotional, It's like, growing up as a kid, it's always emotional things you kind of remember and go back to and be like, dang, like there's trauma behind that.
Right.
And recently I just started reading another book. I mean, because I obviously like to read.
I could see that, yes.
Yeah. But one of the books I'm reading right now is basically taking you through a 40-day journey, just like Kerri was saying, Joseph Campbell's hero's journey. And it's a 40-day book, right? So every single day you read one chapter, and it's beautiful because you have to stop and you have to think and you have to process. But what it's going back to, it's emotional traumas, right? And it's helping you clearly see it, right? Build a plan. How do you go and correct it if you haven't corrected that trauma in your life? And then how do you go ahead and kind of build a structure that, basically, I guess not even put a Band-Aid, because that's not what we want to do, but it's like it rebuilds the area where it's not bothering you anymore, right? So the pain goes away. So I've been doing that for the past 40-ish days, and just trying to understand myself more of like, where are my brakes at, right? Like, where am I hitting the brakes? Because I'm trying to hit the accelerator all the time and just go, fast and do more. But now I'm understanding I need to start removing and starting to go back and, looking at what are the traumas that I have that I haven't dealt with. And it might be something small. It doesn't have to be necessarily something big, but it could be something small that can, like she said too, like Kerri, it could be like a stick, that you trip on. It doesn't have to be necessarily like a log, but it could be something really small that you didn't see, but it messes you up. So just like with my clients, I'm trying to do the same thing, and I will be continuing to do this, for probably forever. Understanding where are those things that I'm not seeing, and then how do I remove them? So,
Yeah, and I think that's something that we all, when we look at people from the outside, we need to remember that we all have had a journey. We've all had challenging parts of that journey. That's why we're able to do what we do and give back to the people that need us. And I mean, what better thing than that to have, it's really amazing when I thought about just being able to have a platform to give people a voice. And for a long time I thought, that's just a hobby. It's just a hobby. It's just a hobby. It's no big deal. It is a big deal. I love it so much, but the only reason that I do it is because of my own journey as well. So we all have that special journey that's unique to us that helps us to learn and grow and be who we are. And gosh, what better thing than that? I mean, I really like me now. How about you guys? Do you like each other?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I know. It's such a great thing. When you get to that little glimpse of it, then you just keep wanting to work at making it better and better for yourself. And that's just a beautiful, beautiful thing. So, Marie-Helene, I love to say your name, Marie-Helene.
It's good.
I love it. I'm trying to work. I've been working on it.
I can tell.
I've been working on
like
it.
to call me MH, so it's much easier for them.
Oh, MH. Oh, I love it. So how about you? What has been the challenging part of your own personal journey?
So I kind of touched a little bit about it right earlier. The most challenging part was for me I'm a very stubborn person. And for some, which is great, I'm very resilient, I'm determined, which got me places, fantastic. That energy, though, was not put in the right places. And when you keep pushing and pushing, at some point, your body, your mind, and your spirit is like, well, she's not getting it, so it won't be a branch, a log, it's going to be a wall. And I hit the wall, hit the wall totally. And it stripped me from everything. And for me was to go through a lot of traumatic events, to go back, to go back and to go and look at it. I laugh at myself now because I remember when I stepped in my therapist's office the first time, and first thing I said, I don't want to go and look at the past stuff. Can we not do that? Now I'm like, holy moly. it was very interesting. I feel like what I've experienced was a total, it was not even a peeling off the layers. It was a whole stripped, down to my knees, lowered and lower, to the point where I write that about in one of my books, is that about 2 years ago, was at the lowest point where, to me, I had planned, knew how and when and where, life was going to end. I was taking my own life. And then I realized that there's just a lot of work to do, but it was not the kind of work, like I explained before, that is what we know. So instead of working hard, like a limited belief, working hard makes you a good person, right? And all that, I started to switch that to, I'm going to do it's going to be heart work now. And that was a very big, that lasted, my childhood and my teenage years were traumatic. And then after that, I was able to kind of cope, was the word. And then the coping did not work anymore. And I spent about 4 years really, really struggling. And so that was the biggest part. Now I can happily say, that I am in a place where everything I've ever wanted, first of all, I have it and more. I am the happiest I've ever been in my entire life. And now it's kind of like, it's fun. It's like, what's the next thing I want to manifest now?
Right,
it's like, I'm a magician. Like, how can I, and if I want to now tap into right now, what's challenging me now personally is judgment, and judgment of myself, and definitely. And, you don't get a lot of people that walk around and people ask you, what do you do for a living? And you tell them, I talk to angels. It's like, what? So, or I'm an energy healer and all that. So right away, it's interesting. So there's lots of judgment attached to that. And it's for me to really stay strong. We actually, Kerri-Ann and I talked about that, and she helped me through something. Really stay strong, knowing that, first of all, accepting myself for the differences. God knows I know those differences, and they're quite big. But now I'm out of the spiritual closet, I like to say, and I just have to continue working on that judgment piece, because I judge myself, I see others judge me, So that's what I'm working with right now.
We live in a world of judgment, I think, and we just have to, like you said, sort of put it on the shelf and realize it doesn't serve us, it's hard because, sometimes we find ourselves judging others and we get judged, and it's just like this whole drama that gets stirred up within us. Before we go.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, I think it's to know and define when is it that we need to dig into the why of the judgment and where it comes from. And sometimes to just not dig and be like, you know what? And then go.
Yes.
I'm done.
Yeah. Before we go, please tell everyone how they can get a hold of you, where they can find you. And I hope that the people that are listening and that will listen in the future might contact you and really want to speak with you. So how could someone do that?
Was that me?
Yes.
Oh, hi.
Sorry.
Sorry. I was like, and who's it now?
I thought while I'm here, I might as well get that last question in.
Get the French girl to be okay. So you can definitely reach out to me through my email address. It is Marie-Helene, so I will spell that MARIE-HELENE @leadinglight.ca. You can find me on Facebook. My company's name is Leading Light. And I love when people call me. So I'm going to give my phone number. I really do.
Please do.
Oh my God, yes. 613-261-2424. Like, I'm a big talker, if you haven't noticed, and I just love getting energy off the phone and talking with people. So
Very nice.
yes.
Very nice. Thank you so much. What about you,
So welcome.
Kerri-Ann? How can we get a hold of you?
Sure. So I think the best two ways is one through my Facebook page, which is my full name, Kerri-Ann Appleton. And then the other place you can connect with me and learn more about what I'm doing. And it is, like I just said, kind of evolving and changing. But my
Right.
website, and it's just www.kerriann.com. My first name.com. So super
Awesome.
easy, and you can connect with me there. And then I am in Brazil, but I work, most of my clients are actually all over the world. So Skype,
Yeah.
FaceTime, Facebook,
That's a lovely
Messenger.
thing. Gosh, that's lovely.
Yeah.
It's just, it's so
It
amazing.
is, but I tell you, I do sit in this one space for many hours.
Well, I hope, that you make it cushy and kind of comfy for yourself, because as I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, I've got to do something to make this comfy and cushy, like, when I'm interviewing, because, the kids love this when I'm teaching, but I'm going to have to put up a whole new thing in the background when I interview people. So, yeah,
Nice.
yeah. So what about you, Adam? Tell us how we can get a hold of you, because you live in Colorado,
Yeah,
but that doesn't stop you from dealing with all kinds of clients anywhere, right?
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, thank God for technology, right? Because we wouldn't be able to do
Yes.
this or work with people
Yes.
all around. So email is really good. So Adam at elevatedhealthandfitness.com, and the and is spelt out. Or Facebook, Facebook is a good spot too. So it's just Adam Baca, and then you'll find me there, and you can message me. So yeah.
It's been so nice having all three of you here. I could talk to you for hours, actually. I've learned so much today about each one of you, and I've learned just something about myself, because as we all know, we are connected. We all are one. So for all of us to be together in one little room like this, it's just very heartwarming for me. And I really appreciate your friendship. I appreciate what you do in the world. I appreciate your gifts that you're sharing with people that you meet, and unconditionally you share, which I know that about every single one of you. And it really just lights up my heart, like at the beginning when we did an open heart meditation. So, Kerri-Ann, I'd like you to help us end this hour of elevation of inspiration, if you don't mind.
Do you want me to do it in a meditation? Is that what you're
Yes,
asking?
please.
Okay. So get into a comfortable seated position and pull out all the flesh, especially if you've been sitting like we have been for a while. It gets a little stiff. Roll your shoulders back a few times and close your eyes. And this time I want you to breathe into the bottom of your feet. So I want you to breathe in just naturally, but as you breathe in, you're going to start filling in your body. So like fill it with air, fill it with love, fill it with just what you're feeling in this moment from this experience, whether you participated in the conversation or was a listener. Just start to feel it enter into your lower half of your body, into your knees, the back of your knees, your thighs, your hamstrings. Really breathe it into your hip area, your pelvis. Really feel the fullness. Just sit there for a moment. There's a lot in our hip area that we kind of carry. So bring that energy that we created in the last hour into that space. And then start to move up your lower torso area, your solar plex. Then move up into your upper torso area, into your chest, and really into your heart. And then down your arms, your forearms, your elbows, your palms, your fingers. And then up through your neck to the top of your head. What I want you to do is take that energy. We've kind of been moving it from the first chakra all the way up to the crown. Is imagine this energy, this breath that you're creating within you is starting to flow out of the top of your head, flow out and around your body, down to the ground and up through your feet again. So it's creating a circular motion of energy through your body. It's creating a full sphere around you. Really embrace and embody this energy in this moment. I want you to take that energy that you've created around you and start to spread it out and connect with everything, everyone, even someone on the other side of the planet, a loved one, and send them this magnificent energy out. Just feel the connection. Know that we are energy. We are all connected. And we are all love and we are all light. Namaste. You can come back to your body and open your eyes.
Thank you. Oh, I feel so relaxed and I feel so calm and I feel so energized by every single one of you. And if you want more information about these three wonderful people, you will get it on my website at www.kathybacon.com. I will have the video on there, also their information of how you can contact them. Because if you're needing something that they all have, they are willing to share it with you. And I encourage you to contact Adam or Kerri-Ann or Marie Helene.
Ah, good job.
So thank you all very much for joining me today and just powering through all of the internet stuff we had going on. I really, really appreciate it. Goodbye, everyone.
Thank you,
See you next month.
Kathy.
Thank you. Bye,
Bye.